Hi, welcome back to RecorderWorks. This is a video on an Irish polka whose name I can't actually remember, but I will look it up and put it in the description. It's in G major. It's a very cheerful little number. So here we go. Okay, so that was a little bit slower than it would be played normally for dancing. A couple of things about it. So the first thing is these little runs. So you don't always have to put those in, but it's quite useful if you don't need to take a breath to put them in as a kind of melodic variation in a way. So we've got. You didn't have to do that little run up, but you can, and it's kind of optional. And in fact, a whole thing about Irish music that someone told me many years ago is that it's a great habit to get into, is to play, because there's a lot of repeats, like the structure of a lot of Irish tunes is A, A, B, B. So you have a tune, a part, and you repeat it, and then you have another part and you repeat that, and then you loop the whole thing. So if you can get into the habit of always playing each repeat slightly differently to how you played the first time through, then that's a really good way to encourage your ability to be fluent with ornamentation and variation. So it's a big ask in some ways, certainly with variation, but with ornamentation, it's good to get to the point where it's kind of spontaneous and it's just an expression of what's going on musically in the moment, which might be different from one moment to the next or one performance to the next. So on that note, ornaments. I'm ornamenting the B with a C sharp, which is not in the scale, right? But it doesn't matter because for one thing, I'm not lifting my finger very high. And for another thing, it's very short. So that's fine, right? I'm doing the same with the A. Same finger. This is kind of tin whistle stuff. And then the G, I'm just using the actual A note there. So well worth practicing those. These are used either on their own or to separate notes of the same pitch. So for example, if you've got a B and the next tune in the melody is B, then you can either use your tongue or you can go. And a lot of these ornaments, I think, come from piping. So on the bagpipes, you can't obviously articulate using your tongue. So all you can do is do some kind of ornament to break notes of the same value apart, etc. Okay, so that's one thing, ornaments on these left-hand notes. Okay, then for that little run up to the second part, well, first of all, let's talk about those high notes. On the recorder, they can be disastrous. They can sound absolutely horrible, and they give the recorder a bad name. So if you're going to play those high notes, practice them first, make them sound nice rather than horrible. And it takes some work. So one thing, you've got this, the half holing at the thumb with the thumb. So it doesn't want to be fully covered, doesn't want to be completely open. You've got to get the right amount of cover. And some people do that with articulating a knuckle. Some people do it just by kind of rolling. And you might need to trim your nail, but it's really important to get that right because otherwise the recorder sounds horrible and it puts people off. So make sure you can do those notes smoothly. And in terms of practice, it kind of makes more sense to practice the stuff that's harder more than the stuff that's easy, right? Because you don't want to be getting along lovely with the tune and, it sounds great. And then you get to the hard part and it falls apart. It's better to have practiced the hard part more. And then, it just kind of makes sense that way. And that run is difficult. Okay, so as you're entering the B part of the tune, if I can catch that bit. Okay, even there I squeaked, whatever the word is on it. Okay, so I need to practice it too. Okay, so those high notes are difficult and important to get right. Is there anything else about the tune I want to say? I don't think so. It's in G major, so we got, but it goes beyond that range, right? It goes, and it goes down below, certainly to the F sharp. I'm not sure if it has the D in, so make sure you got, yeah, it does have the D. It's kind of a D major arpeggio. Okay, so arpeggios, very good to practice in different directions. And in fact, arpeggios are the foundation of so many tunes. So I'm just thinking, for example, so a great thing to practice. Etc., etc. Okay, so I think that's it really. It's a great tune to kind of just practice your chops on, really. You know, your fingering, your breathing, your ability to memorize a tune, just your kind of general expressiveness, your ornaments, all that kind of stuff. And I will try and find the name of it and put that in the description. Other than that, please like and subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of material, and I'll see you in the next video.